Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Mayank Shah and I am the Senior Lecturer in Electrical Engineering Department at Parul Polytechnic Institute, which is the leading provider of Parul University. Parul Polytechnic Institute is a well-known engineering college. This college started in 2017 and provides education. The mission of the Parul Polytechnic Institute provide advanced knowledge and educated students in technology and also teaching research and the innovating strong academic work ethic at the technical is balanced by an intellectual environment incorporating both the inter-college and in-house sports campus culture. Now, today we are presenting Industrial Supply Chain Post-COVID-19 presented by Mr. Sushant Kaul sir. He is a global procurement head at the Lucy Electric. He had an experience as a senior manager supply chain management in Schneider Electric Industrial Service. He had achieved many more globalized license and certifications like APICS Supply Chain Management from APICS USA. Another one is CII SCM Pro from Indian Industries. Another one Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certifications from BMGI, certified supply chain auditor from Schneider Electric. Like he had achieved more than 13 plus years of experience in the industrial sectors. Okay, so now just the little announcement for all the audience before we get started the webinar. If you have any questions during the presentations, please type them into the question box. I will bring them up during the presentations and we will also have time for questions at the end. Before we go further, I wanted to review the functionality of our today's webinar topic, which is Industrial Supply Chain Post-COVID-19. Your active participation is important throughout this webinars. Throughout the presentations, me or someone on the staff will be managing the chat functionality. If you can enter your questions and comment in the question box throughout the presentations. Okay, now further without ado, we will turn the time over, hold the sessions, hand over to the Sushant sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mayank ji. Thank you for the introduction, and I thank you Parul University and its management for considering to share the thoughts. And it's very important that we have seen one of the most challenging period in last 100 years of not only Indian economy, also the global economy, where we need to plug the gaps. We need to speed up on the improvements on digitization, paperless work, and also the gap between the education system and what industry is seeking for. And I understand that we have a group of people from various streams who would be attending this webinar. And I'll try to share in whatever 45-60 minutes time possible all the insights for the Indian economy, how they should prepare themselves, how they should gear up for the coming challenges which they may face in the upcoming assignments, or maybe they will take up their businesses, or they may like to join government organizations, because it's going to be valid for government organizations also. So moving ahead, I'll just start sharing my presentation, and Mayank ji, just let me know if it is visible now.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, so thank you once again. I'm presenting a slide of 5 to 6, like I'm presenting a presentation of 5 to 6 slides only, and I've tried my best to keep it very generic and not very any in detailed manner, but I'm just giving a bird's eye view of Indian economy and what happened before, like when the COVID-19 happened, what happened before that and before the lockdown which was announced, and how we coped up, how we bounced back, and what improvements we did, and what is way ahead, and what are the growth indices which are pretty visible, and what was expected when the COVID-19 was stuck in India. Okay, before we talk about COVID-19, I would request kindly pay attention that what is the basic fact sheet of India, like from the demographic perspective, the infrastructure perspective, the area perspective, population, obviously, and we should look all these as opportunities and as our strength, and we should feel proud of all this. And these are the resources which we have to harness and improve our economy and respectively the GDP and the level of life which we live here. Starting, we like India has an area of 3,214 kilometers from north to south and 2,933 kilometers from east to west, which is the linear distance, and the total area is 3.28 million square kilometers. So that's one of the biggest area which we have, and this is the kind of opportunity we have in terms of land, the other resources, and the other resources followed us. Among this, we have water resources of 314,000 square kilometers and waterways of 14,500 square kilometers only. So, which I would say like approximately it is only 5-10% of harnessing of the water which we have available, and we need to focus on that, and the present governments and their policies are definitely working in that direction. Our GDP, which stood as per the last physical reports, stood at 145.65 lakh crore. GDP, the full form is gross domestic product output, and this is an indication of a country or an economy that where we stand in total trades and businesses, what we do, which is in terms of exporting or selling it in the local market. It includes services, it includes manufacturing, it includes agriculture and others. But the major three aspects of a GDP are services, and services means the hotel industry, the restaurant industry, the online trade industry, which is the highest for our country as of now. And in fact, IT and enabled services, because that's one of the major element to services in GDP that contributes to almost 54%. Manufacturing, we stand at 29.6, and we need to improve on this. We need to build a lot of manufacturing capabilities here in India, even though in last 3 to 4 decades, a lot of work has been done, because this used to be below 14% almost 3 to 4 decades back, and now this has gone up to 29.6. But for any developed economy or for any self-resilient economy, its strength we can measure from its manufacturing industry, as in how capable we are to develop our own products and manufacture them. That followed by agriculture, that's also important, and it is very, very low. It's at 14.65. Historically, India or Bharat in the legacy days used to be an agricultural land, and we not only used to produce for our own, we used to export a lot. This needs a lot of revival. This needs a lot of hand holding with respect to the land laws, with respect to the production system in agriculture, what we follow, automation, what we need to do. So a lot of work to be done in that area. So this was a snapshot of where our economy stood till 2019-20 fiscal year. We have a population of 1.37 billion, which is huge, second largest in the world. But the positive fact among it is 60% of our population is below age 40. And most of you, like who have attending this webinar, I'm assuming must be below age 20 or 25. So what does it mean is, for next 2 to 3 decades, our country will have resources, that is people younger of age group, who will be available to serve the economy and help improve our exports also. So that's the positive part. And that is one of the reasons most of the foreign direct investments are coming to India. And it is not only that age is what matters, but skills are also to be at par with the requirements. And we are pretty flexible with the workings. So that is some positive which goes for us. Followed by railway. Railway is huge, 108,000 kilometer, and with passengers with 13,000 passenger trains across our country. Freight, only 9,000 freight trains approximately, and we have a whooping 7,000 stations, and we ply almost 23 million travelers and 3 million metric ton of freight daily. Now, to give you an example, Japan itself does 10 million tons of freight daily. So that means Japan is lesser than us in area. Its railway network is even further lesser than us, but yet they are able to utilize their freight through railways, which is huge. And why this is important is because using railway as a freight corridor is much more optimal method rather than using lorries or the other. Or in fact, seaway is also or waterways is also one of the most beneficial, but you can, because of constraints, you cannot do it every time. But railway is one of the best method, and the government is working on this, and this is again an opportunity area where we should be focusing on. Followed by roadways, we have a roadway of 4.87 million kilometers, and this is the second largest in the world. In the last 3 decades, we've seen a lot of improvement in this. And the number of vehicles are growing. That's quite evident by our traffic jams and scenarios, what we see on the highways. We had an annual increment of 10.16%, which is not at par at now. I will come to that slide in later. And the biggest worry is Indian roads carry 60% of freight and 87% of passenger traffic, which is the biggest worry. So that means waterways, railways, we should have optimized. I'm not including the air traffic here because that won't be an optimal method, even though it's one of the fastest, but that won't be an optimal method. But if we can utilize railways and waterways and reduce that burden on roadways, which requires even more infrastructure, more vehicles, more consumption of diesel, petrol, more consumption of tar, and land law issues, and then ultimately hitting us on our imports also, because we are completely dependent on oil from imports. So if we can improve that in terms of waterways and in terms of railways, that would help our economy. Just to quickly share, major ports of entry is Chennai, Ennore, Haldia, Jawaharlal, JNPT, known as short form Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, Kolkata, Deen Dayal, Kochi, Murmagaon, Mumbai, New Mangalore, Paradip, Tetricon, and Vishakhapatnam. And I think we need to boost these. And but whatever ports I mentioned, 70% of our traffic is at JNPT. So that means, again, if there is one trouble at JNPT, we are gone. We are completely dependent on that. And now the government is trying to find new routes and trying to see that how we can build infrastructure at the existing ports and also try to see if we can build new ports. I'll move to second slide. I hope it's coming now.
Hello?
Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Now, quickly, I would share that this is a snapshot. I think someone has to mute the mic. There's an echo. Okay, now it's good. So, quickly sharing what COVID-19 and its restriction did And there are two tables here or statistics what I'm sharing here, and this is till Q2 2020, because after that situation has been so dynamic and it keeps changing every month now. But it's a very, I believe that this snapshot can depict a lot in terms of where we stood till Q2 2020. And when I say Q2, I mean April, May, June. I'm saying the international financial year. So till the month of June end, where we stood, on the left hand side, we have two categories. One is the Group 20 advanced economies and Group 20 emerging markets. India would come in Group 20 emerging markets in the below side. And on the column side, we have government response stringency index. So 0 is the lowest, 100 is the highest. COVID followed by COVID-19 fatality rate, and this is till August 2020. And the impact on GDP year on year, comparing 2019 with respect to 2020. And on the right hand side, we have a graphical representation. The vertical line shows Q2 GDP growth rate, and the bottom row, the horizontal line, shows intensity of lockdown. Now, I'll straight away come to the graph on the right hand side. If I can point this one, it says till Q2 2020, India was the strictest government across globe which had put lockdowns with highest severity, and which was followed by Mexico, Brazil, France, UK, Spain, Canada, USA, Italy, and Germany. And also, it is a direct correlation. If I draw this line of India and I go to the GDP, it was expected that the GDP of India for year 2020 would be contracting by 25%. So the first slide of GDP of India, what I presented here, it was expected that the GDP of India will go down by 25% because of the lockdown measures. And then we have the rest economies, and it is only for reference. And I'll focus on India only. Also, now if I try to come to the left table, in G20 emerging markets, India had the highest strictest index response from the government, which was 85.6%. But yet, the positive point was we had one of the lowest mortality rate in the globe, which was after Russia and Japan, and it is 1.8%. But that resulted into a negative GDP, which is minus 23.9, or if we round it off to 25, minus 25%. Now, this is what was being predicted. This is what was reported till June 2020. And it was necessary because we would appreciate that government had no choice. And like looking at the population, looking at the kind of complex country which we have, this is the call which they had to take. And further and furthermost, we'll move to the next slides. Now, what I shared in the earlier slide was whatever happened till the month of July and August. And this one graph I am sharing as an example, even though I'm not going to focus on any particular industry. But since automobile is considered to be one of the backbone of our economy, as far as manufacturing GDP is concerned, I'm sharing a trend of total vehicle registration. Also, what trend was in year 2019 versus 2020. Also, how many motorcycles, which is two-wheelers, were sold, how many tractors were sold, how many goods carrier were sold, and how many motor car, which is the passenger cars, were sold. Now, the source is Vahan database, and it's a direct correlation because whatever vehicle we would buy, it has to be registered. Now, quite evident, if I see from March to May, we had a complete contraction. So it was obvious because we were not able to allow to go anywhere. And post May, we had slight lockdown 1, 2, 3, 4 upliftment. And basis on that, if you can see one of the highest spike, if I follow the green line, we see a tremendous growth in tractor. Now, why we use tractors is primarily in agriculture, or if we have to use heavy weights within short distances. So this is a direct indicator that agriculture started picking up. And thus, that's why like farmers in our country had the courage and had the cash to buy these vehicles. This followed with motor cars. Motor cars started picking up, and we have started seeing post-August a positive growth in sales, which slightly dipped in October. However, this data is not updated till December. But in December, in motor car sales, we saw a year-on-year 10% growth with respect to 2019. Then followed by the goods carrier, which shows the industry and logistics growth. This is one small dotted line in green. This again is showing a growth. Even though this is a negative contraction with respect to last year, but it is growing. So that means it is a positive news. And if we just try to quickly compare what happened in year 2019 and where we are in 2020. So this blue box, this one, the dark blue box, this one shows the registration numbers which happened for year 2020 for the same month, and this light blue box shows what happened for the number of registration for year 2019. Now, still there is a gap, but since this data is still October, and I have another data from SIAM, which is the authorized data for the publishing of sales of automobile, that shows overall there is a growth of 10% vis-a-vis from 2019 to 20 till the month of December. So that means we had a bounce back in our economy, and which also followed by online digital gateways saw a highest surge ever. And for the first time, we realized that in India, people were also booking vehicles online, which would not happen earlier. And one of the gateway for online payment called UPI, Unified Payment Interface, hit an all-time high with transactions worth 2.9 lakh crore in July 2020. And it has never happened in our economy ever. And comparing month on month, it was a 40% growth to the manufacturing GDP. Also, retail sector, healthcare, agro saw a growth in range of 2 to 25%. Now, healthcare is but obvious because we all became so conscious about our immune system, and we started buying sanitizers, we started buying liquid soaps, we started buying medicines, we started being proactive in taking medicines, taking care of ourselves. And retail sector, which is the organized retail sector, also saw a spike because we started placing online orders, for example, Big Basket or Taza Food, if it is with reference to Vadodara only. And these sectors started a huge growth, and they saw a spike in the online payments, which was in the range of 2 to 25%. Moving to the next slide. Now, here I showed you one reference that how automobile bounced back, and contrary to what was predicted that there will be a contraction of 23-25% of in our economy, this is a resultant where we bounced back and we showed that we are resilient and we can come back despite of the vaccine not being available till today as of now. Now, the positive comeback, which is the recent, and since these figures are official, I cannot declare the latest numbers. These are till the balance sheets, which are published till Q3. So the data is updated till October, September. The biggest positive news which came recently was the vaccination drive, which will be held in India in year 2021, and we are expecting this to happen in the month of January alone. We already have 2 vaccine manufacturers here in India who have been approved with conditions and who would be delivering, and we will not be importing. We will not be dependent on any other any other country. And the target which has been set is 30 crore people, like 300 million people, which is one of the huge, and which is only 25 to 30% of our population as of now. And we are targeting that 30 crore people will be vaccinated by the month of May, June 2021. And we also had dry runs across 4 to 5 states, which is a positive news because they want to check that how we are going about it. Are we prepared? So now all these moves put a positive sentiments, and the result is in front of us. The first graph on the top left is the GST collection, which is goods and services tax collection. And we see there is a tremendous growth, not only from the lockdown period, which is this V here from March, April. We also see the dark blue is the GST collection for year 2019. So for example, if I'm saying in year 2019, October, the GST collection was 1 lakh crore. At present, we stood at 1.1 lakh crore for the month of October 2020. So that is but evident. That means if hotels are working, if manufacturing sectors is working, if restaurants are working, we saw a growth in that. The second figure here on the right hand side is daily ETC count and collection, which is the electronic toll collection. On the left hand side is the pre-COVID and count lakh, how much of collection was done, and it is pretty obvious that there is a tremendous growth. And on the right hand side is the collection in the value, which is mentioned that how much we grew from number and value both. So the graphs are quite evident, and it shows how much growth there was. And also not to forget, if I compare January 2020 and February 2020 in the both graphs, that means we never had any lockdown or COVID-like situation then. However, we may have, but we were not on a severity stage there. The growth in September, October is even bigger than that. So that means it's evident that even if it was pre-COVID, we bounced back even better. Now coming to the one of the most important, which I had covered in the last slide, which was the UPI payments. This is the one of the best development and achievement what we could achieve is the number of transactions what we have done in last 5 to 6 months. And from number perspective, like not the value, we have achieved 200 crore number of transactions alone in the month of October. And value perspective, it is whooping 3.6 lakh crore of transaction using online payments. Now, all this is positive news, but at the same time, you understand, as a country, we have to also see that how much do we produce locally, how much do we produce and sell outside the country. But there is a loop. The loophole is if we import a lot, So whatever we may have produced locally, or whatever we may have produced locally, consumed locally, or exported is of no use, because if our physical deficit is high, that is going to give a big blow to the exchequer, which is the government of India or the RBI. Now, this last graph, however, is not that encouraging, but the trend is quite encouraging. And in this, we had a physical deficit actual in the month of April shown here. And this is the budget, what we had done. Now, this is showing that there is a physical deficit which is growing month on month in year 2020. So that means we still are importing a lot. And plus, the government, which budgeted that this would be the physical deficit and then only we will have a lot of cash, that gap is also increasing. So the blue one in September 2020 here shows that we predicted 3 lakh crore of physical deficit, but we landed up with a physical deficit of 9 lakh crore. So that is something we should be wary, and that is where like industries, the companies which are based out of India, or the FDIs which we have to increase, should improve upon, and we should reduce our dependency on imports. Moving to next slide. Now, whatever I shared with all of you, how does it make sense? Whether you guys are from engineering, or you're from medical, or you're from commerce, or you're doing your MBA and engineering of various streams, MBA of various streams, and how does it make relevance to you guys, and how you guys can add up to the economy, and what value addition you guys can do, where you guys can help the economy, and how you guys can be prepared for the same. It's a snapshot where I'm saying the way ahead is Industry 4.0. And Industry 4.0 means we have to go paperless. We have to be more efficient in the way we communicate. We have to use digital tools. Now, when I say digital tools, does not mean that we have to invest heavily into automation or artificial intelligence or something we can imagine. It's not that. But there are very best practices. For example, cloud computing, cloud storage, or using something like ERPs, using cloud application, using barcodes, using QR codes, using RFID. All these are very less expensive and very effective methods. I'll try to cover them one by one. And later, if you guys have any questions, I would request you share it with Mayank, and I'll try to address in my best manner. Now, moving to the bullet points, the first thing all of you must do is upgrade yourselves to the digital skills. And when I say upgrade yourself to the digital skills, let me give you a benchmark. The government of India and its various organizations, whether it is National Authority Highway of India, whether it is Archaeological Survey of India, or if it is CSIR, which is a lab of columigration here in India, all of them are using a tool called GEM, Government of India e-Market. And the guidelines from the Commerce Ministry and the Finance Ministry, which has come to all these departments is, and this is not now, this has been happening for the last 3 to 4 years, but due to COVID-19, now this has taken place. Now, why I'm sharing Government of India, because that can be a benchmark, because we may say that, okay, our economy or our country is not at that par level. But trust me, I have dealt with government organizations. I have dealt with a lot of government officers. And when I talk to them, they talk digital tools, they talk all these applications, and they are being asked, they are being trained to use all these. And you guys can note it down, you guys can Google later, you guys can check. There is a cloud-based application which is called GEM, and it's an e-marketplace where vendors across country can register themselves. They can upload their KYC, they can share what they can sell, and the respective government organizations will create their own logins, and they are supposed to buy through them using bidding process. Now, this is an online bidding process. I'm not talking about the rail bidding or the road bidding or shipping bidding. I'm even talking about office stationery. I'm even talking about taxi services. I'm even talking about workforce planning, where you have to hire labor. So all this is done digitally. And why I jumped to GEM in my list, because that can be a benchmark. In fact, I should have kept it above. And that is how the Indian government is also thinking now. So that means whatever students we are getting out of the colleges, irrespective of what stream, they should be also inculcated with all these digital tool information, because they would be facing all this whether they work in private or government organizations, both. Now, coming back to the list, cloud-based applications, I'll give you an example. What we do is we all use Google Drive. Google Drive is a best example of how cloud-based applications are used. What I mean is, if you use a telephone, maybe an Android or maybe an iPhone, and if you plan to change your phone or upgrade a phone, or if you lose your phone and you want to use another phone,
Q2 and Q3, Sushan.
Hello?
एक मिनट. Hello.
Yeah, ma'am. Am I visible? Am I audible? Is presentation visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Should I continue?
Yeah, you can. Sorry.
So, cloud-based application, what I was trying to say is, I was giving an example that if you have a mobile phone and you want to upgrade your phone, or you have lost a phone and you want to move to a new handset. So in old days, we used to copy contacts into a separate file, or we used to write it down literally, or get it into a spreadsheet, and then copy it into manually through my new phone or the new device, whatever we buy, and also copy the music, the media files, whatever possible. In today's world, because of cloud applications, and Google Drive is one of the example, you just need to have your login credentials secured with you. You just need to log in the same thing and map it to your new handset, and you will have all the synchronization in place. That is an example of cloud-based applications. And that is where industry is also moving. Because in earlier days, we used to have huge server rooms, huge server infrastructures, VPNs, lot of people involved to do all this integration. And then only one organization, one plant, one distribution center, one factory, one retail outlet, or one service center, or one hospital, or one clinic would be able to talk to each other. But now today, because of the cloud-based applications, you don't need all such huge infrastructures. You just need your secured ID passwords and a workable smartphone or a laptop or a tab, and all the data would be in front of you. You will be able to access all whatever you want to do, including the workflow management, file management, approvals, leave management, drawing review, billing, everything what you want to do can be done through that. And as I gave the examples of hospitals, clinics, whatever I'm saying is not limited to manufacturing alone. It is to service industry also. And to give you another example, like if you go to a cafe or a coffee shop or a restaurant, the person may come up with a tab, or there may be some QR code kept on the table. You must have experienced that you just need to scan the QR code, or the person who brings the menu on the tab, he would ask you to select the menu. He won't go and inform his billing manager that these are the items which you intend to consume. And once you have confirmed, once the order is placed, your bill will be automatically generated. And even if you opt out to get the physical bill, you may get an SMS directly and you can pay. So that means nothing physically took place. So you got the bill digitally, you placed your order digitally, and you were also paying digitally. So that's also an example of cloud-based application. Sharing one more push from the government of India, which was actually not in the COVID era, but it has started 5 years back, is called e-way bill and online GST submission. We had GST implementation in year 2019 July, and it has been almost 3 to 4 years now. And we have seen the growth of collection of taxes from all the industry, which is irrespective of manufacturing services. And the best part in this is that no one needs to visit any of the income tax department until unless there is a major conflict. So what I want to say is, anyone who's from commerce, anyone who's from engineering sector, they should be knowing all this. They should be knowing the basic data of all this, and they should be through all this. So as when you join an organization, for example, you join an organization and you are in operations or in production or in warehouse, or maybe in procurement or in supply chain, a person should know how GST works. A person should know how the paper workflow happens online, how a supplier will behave, how a client will behave, and those would be the terms used in your coming career. Respective to that, we have another workflow management, which is called e-way bill, which, if I'm not wrong, was implemented in year 2019, if I'm not wrong. And since then, we have seen a huge, tremendous improvement in this sector also. Otherwise, if you guys remember, we used to have long queues of trolleys, trucks, and these commercial vehicles on the border checkposts or octroi checkpost. All of that has gone now, because these are done through QR codes, barcodes. They can take out their prints. They can scan it through their tablets or smartphones. And it is only like all the paperwork, all the bribery has gone because of all this digitization which has been put in place. And then followed by direct and indirect tax submissions. Like this is from a personal perspective, like we have two types of taxes here in India. One is indirect, another is direct. Direct tax is the income tax which the employees pay, whether it is private sector or it is government sector, which is people like us who are employed with organizations or government of India organizations. We pay income tax to the income tax department. That's called direct tax. Indirect tax is GST, octroys, all these taxes, or service tax, which used to be in legacy days. That is the category of indirect taxes. So all this is digitized. Like, for example, I've been working for the last 16 years. It was only probably in the beginning of my career, in somewhere in 2005, 6 or 7 maybe, when I had to visit an income tax office, because the returns used to be manual then. But since 2008 or maybe 7, it has all, or maybe 9, maybe it is all digital. I have never ever visited an income tax department. I get all my challans, which is the submission of income tax. I get all my queries. If I have a complaint, I can register online. If income tax wants to issue a notice, it's all online. It would come on my mobile number. They would issue me an email. I have to log in. I have to resolve the ticket. I have to upload proofs, and it will be resolved. So nothing doing, nothing visiting an income tax department, no paperwork involved. So that's the kind of changes which has happened in our country last 10 to 20 years. Digitization in agriculture, quickly catching up on this, is if any one of you is through agriculture, to give you guys an example is we have an organization called Metafim in Baroda. It's an Israeli-based organization. They are a very, very old and fantastic organization. They had introduced irrigation or metered irrigation system or drip irrigation system into the world almost 4 to 5 decades back. And why I'm sharing this is here, Israel is not even 1/20th of India. And their farmers are able to produce so much that they don't even import anything. And why is it so? To give you one more example, if, for example, in India, an Indian farmer has a land of, for example, 20,000 square feet, and if he's able to produce some 20 to 30 metric ton of cereals at the same pace or at the same resources available there in Israel for the same area, the Israeli farmer will be able to produce 100 tons of cereals from the same land. And this is because those guys have put and invested into research. They are using drones, they are using drip technology for irrigation, they are using a lot of apps, they are using their meteorological department to predict what's going to happen, they are using new methods of fertilization, and that's the kind of digitization we require in agriculture. We do have a lot of things happening in India, but a lot of way to go. Government of India has initiated new the Doordarshan channels. They have also started some mobile apps where there are suggestions, there are inputs given to the farmers. But drip irrigation and water harvesting, all these are a long way to go, and we need to improve on that. And as I explained, our agriculture is only 14% of our economy, which we need to improve, and probably in next 10 years it should go to 20% at least, so as we don't import much, we should be self-reliant. Sharing examples of digitization or automation is barcodes, QR codes, RFID. You guys must be aware of QR codes by now. And RFIDs are used in shopping malls or the shopping centers when we buy something, and if we have to get it billed, the person would never even look at the label, he would just scan it. And from security purpose is also quite helpful, that if something is not billed and if it goes out of the gate, we have the alarm systems in place. So that's the kind of digitization I'm trying to share, which can be used in retail sector and in manufacturing both, and warehouse management. Now, sharing the last point is upstream and downstream digital integration. This means like we have a factory, or we have a warehouse, or we have a hotel or a restaurant. To its left is upstream and to its right is downstream. Upstream means the suppliers or the sources who gives us raw material, vegetables, steel, coils, rods, resins, oil. So as when we take that, we process it, we convert it, and we sell it to the downstream, which is the customer, the clients, or the retail shops. So we have to integrate the upstream, downstream, and the conversion. And the conversion can be who's in between, can be a factory, that can be a hotel, that can be a restaurant, that can be a service center, that can be a resort. It can be anything. So that is I'm trying to put an example how all these can be integrated. Now, whatever data, whatever graphs I had shared, and these are all property of an organization of CII and Commerce Ministry of India. And there is a website portal, you guys can note it down. It's called IBEF, It's in the below left. It's Indian Bureau Equity Foundation. And this is an arm of Commerce Ministry who takes the responsibility of publishing the economic indicators of India. And this we also use in industry as an official source to get the information where the economy is going. Now, whatever I shared till now and whatever I said till now is the add-on or is the change which keeps happening. And probably whatever I did now or shared may not be relevant 5 years down the line because there would be something new. And after 10 years, there would be definitely something else. So it will keep changing. So the goalpost will keep changing. We'll have new things. We have new skills to adapt and learn. But to the core of it, any one of you, for example, you are doing commerce, you are doing medical, you are doing engineering, or you are doing MBA, you have to respect your basics first. So for example, if you're doing engineering, you need to know your domain. And then only these tools are going to help you. So when I'm presenting this or when I'm sharing this, it does not mean that if you do this is going to help. Or even though there are people who also specialize into this, but that's a long way. What I want to say is you at least should have a base. And your base is the domain which you have selected, the domain in which you are pursuing your education. And you should be focusing on that, coupled and integrated with these tools. And then only you can harness your career, you can grow, you can add up to the economy. Last, I would like to share a quote which I'm trying to correlate. This was said by Neil Armstrong when he stepped on the moon. He said, "It's one small step for man, but one giant leap for mankind." Now, what our present or past governments have done here in India for digitization, training people, starting from Government of India departments itself, whatever digitization steps they have taken, and it's going to benefit our economy in long run. And we have a lot of opportunities to come on. So that's all from my end. I would request if you guys have any questions, I can take it up.
Thank you, Susan sir, for giving such a wonderful presentation on Indian supply chain post COVID-19. Before thanking you, we have some questions from some students and from some our colleagues. Like first question is like how multinational companies like Amazon and Alibaba facing like challenges after COVID-19, like on the basis of this supply chain?
See, I would see the basic infrastructure of Alibaba and Amazon was cloud-based business and trade. And these guys were into this business for last 2 to 3 decades. And they came to India only a decade back, or maybe 5 years back only. They were all well prepared. So I would say they were well ahead of what we face here in India. And but the other way, like as I shared, the UPI transactions in India has grown by 50%. So I don't think those organizations had any challenges. They in fact had advantage because of COVID-19 in India, because people started buying online and their sales went up.
Okay. Sir, one more question. Why does the customer or consumer put their money on car purchase in Q2 and Q3 while lockdown is going on?
Okay, yes, a good question. That is a correlation. If I have to answer that for Q3 and Q4, culturally, if we see, we generally buy anything new on an auspicious period. And as we knew that beginning September, October, we had Navaratras, we have Ganesh Chaturthi. So basis on the cultures and basis on the sentiments of different regions here in India, we were not able to shop for the entire year. And then we had an opportunity where the muhurats or the auspicious dates were on. Also, automobile companies took the opportunity and they offered discounts.
Okay.
They, like, also for the first time, it also happened that automobile companies said that we will finance. And they said, if the prevailing interest rate from bank is 6 to 8%, you take the loan from us, we will finance you for 5%. So those are factors which has helped. So, but what I would say, it's very obvious. If we have buying power of spending 100 rupees and we are told that you have a year to spend, and if I had an opportunity to spend it in January and February, and March is a period when people don't buy because we wait for the balance sheets and there is no auspicious period in March. And then we wait for Navratras, which come either in April, May. So what I want to say that 100 rupees, we had an opportunity window in January, February, March, April, May, June, we did not had any opportunity. And we were not sure because people were not even sure of their jobs. They said, let's defer it, let things improve, let everything improve. We don't know whether the lockdown will happen again. But in July, August, when our government and our general public also realized that lockdown is not going to happen and this COVID-19 is not going to go very soon, that is when that 100 rupee power was put in the month of quarter 2, quarter 3.
Okay. One more question. Do you think that India is ready for all cloud-based infrastructure development?
See, as I shared earlier also, cloud-based applications are much more simpler. Now, to give you more relevant example, if I say that we had old ERPs or old servers of railway, we would require a huge server infrastructure. We would require huge LANs, huge amount of engineers involved, huge ACs to keep the servers cool. This was the kind of investment which was required in earlier days. But with the advent of new technology and the shared services which are possible, or the outsourcing of these cloud-based application services which are possible now, we can adapt it. Like, if I give an example, we in 90s or in beginning of 2000, when IT was booming, if we would have told a pawn shop in India or a halwai in India, I'm giving a very crude example, if we would have told him that in future you will have a website where one will go to a computer, he will log in, and you can also sell your material through your website. The owner at that time would not have that vision, and he would have definitely laughed. He would have said, I have enough customers here, I don't care, and I don't want to invest into all that. Because the first thought comes that it is about internet, it is about online, it is about computer, it is about doing transactions online. It would be complex, it will be huge investment. Why should I get into that? Should I focus on the sweets which I make, or should I focus on what I do? But today, what do we see? We have, for example, Gwalior here in Gujarat. We have Jagdish here in Gujarat. We do have retail outlets of Jagdish, but they do have online platform also. They do sell both the ways, and they're happy. And it is very limited investment.
Okay. One more question. When 5G will be implemented in India, when it will offer network slicing and IoT-based network, do you think India should develop infrastructure to help IoT-based services?
Yes, that is going to be the future. In fact, that I should have covered in my digitization, but unfortunately, that rollout has got delayed because were trying to do it here in India. And as you must be aware of the clashes which are happening with China right now, because earlier we used to use Huawei hardwares, which were a very strategic partner for implementing 5G here in India. Not only in India, I don't think even US is completely prepared with 5G today, or Germany. Those guys have started, but because of the conflict in the infrastructure of the servers or the routers, which were predominantly from China, this thing has taken a stall, and these guys are trying to do something on its own. But as far as Indian IT sector, or I would say Indian IT and telecom sector, I think we are doing pretty well. We are doing pretty well. And our reach of mobile handsets, mobile network is really, really good. And COVID-19 gave us a push also. And we have a lot of coverage all across country, at least for 3G. I cannot promise 4G everywhere, but 3G, 2G, and also to remind, the new applications which are being coming into the market, they are not only designed for 5G. They are keeping it in mind that there can be areas where 5G is not available. If 5G is not available, that means their business transactions won't happen. They are also keeping this in mind. So if 3G and 4G is available, yet I think we are good to go. And India is in a good hand.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. It will be very helpful for everyone, as a practical point of view. And I would like to thank you for giving such a wonderful webinar on Indian supply chain post COVID-19. And thank you for it gave deep insights into the topic and also revealed some interesting facts. Thanks to audience also for attending this webinar. And thank you very much, sir, once again.
Thank you, all of you, and wish all the best for all students. And kindly focus on your core, and do please upgrade your skills. And whatever possible, you guys can have online courses, but try to have a digital interaction or like the industrial interaction for having hands-on on all these tools. And that will definitely help in your resumes when you submit it for your job offers.
And one more thing, and we hope that we will have such a wonderful webinars in future also from you, sir.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.